The scent of 1,000 custom-ordered roses hits you the moment you walk in. $50,000. That's what this venue cost, not including the artisanal cheese platters, the string quartet, or the ice sculpture of a swan. My wife Sarah always had expensive taste. Today, for her baby shower, she'd outdone herself. Our friends and family, all 100 of them, mingled and sipped champagne, congratulating me, the doting, soon-to-be father. They saw the perfect couple living a perfect life, but perfection is an illusion, and ours was about to shatter in the most spectacular way possible. I walked through the room, a smile plastered on my face, shaking hands, accepting pats on the back. "You must be so excited, Mark," my aunt said, squeezing my arm. "Oh, beyond words," I replied, the lie tasting like ash in my mouth. My excitement had died a month ago, replaced by a cold, gnawing suspicion. It started small, late-night texts she tried to hide. An overly familiar laugh with her work colleague, David, who was, of course, on the guest list. The timeline just didn't add up. The dates she gave for conception felt off. It was a gut feeling at first, a whisper of doubt that grew into a deafening roar. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I arranged for a non-invasive prenatal paternity test. The results came back a week ago, confirming my worst fears in sterile, scientific black and white. Probability of paternity, 0%. Every day since has been an act. I played the part of the supportive husband, rubbing her back, fetching her cravings, even helping her pick out the ridiculous gold leaf invitations for this very party. Inside, I was a hollowed-out shell, a ghost haunting my own life. I'd watch her preen in the mirror, cradling a belly that held another man's child, and feel a rage so cold it burned. She was building her dream on my dime and my devotion, and I was just a stepping stone. But a stepping stone can be a stumbling block. And I decided that if my world was going to come crashing down, I was going to make sure it was on my own terms, not hers. Why here? Why this party? People might call it cruel, but this event wasn't for our baby, it was for her. It was a monument to her social climbing ambition, a theatrical performance of a life she hadn't earned. She wanted an audience for her perfect life. Fine, I'd give her one. She wanted a day she'd never forget. I was about to grant that wish. This wasn't just a party, it was a stage. The final act was going to be a masterpiece of truth. My 3 best friends, the only people who knew the truth, were here, not as guests, but as part of the catering staff I'd hired separately. They wore the crisp white shirts and black trousers, blending in perfectly. In their pockets, they held the props for our grand finale, 100 sealed, cream-colored envelopes. The first couple of hours were torture. I sat beside her as she opened mountains of gifts. A ridiculously expensive stroller, designer baby clothes, a silver rattle. With each gift, she'd turn to me, her eyes shining, and kiss my cheek. "Isn't it perfect, darling?" she'd whisper. And I'd nod, my smile feeling like a cheap mask. We played the silly baby shower games, guessing the baby food flavors, measuring her belly with a string. The crowd loved it. They saw a man deeply in love, celebrating the upcoming arrival of his child. They had no idea they were watching a prelude to a public execution of a marriage. My friends would catch my eye from across the room, giving me a subtle nod. The trap was set. All I had to do was wait for the perfect moment. And then it came. The caterer, one of my guys, tapped a glass with a spoon. "Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? It's time for our final toast of the afternoon, from the mother-to-be, Sarah." A round of applause echoed through the hall. Sarah practically floated to the small stage, basking in the adoration. She took the microphone, her hand resting on her stomach. She looked radiant, beautiful, and utterly fraudulent. "Thank you all so much for coming," she began, her voice thick with fake emotion. "This day is a dream come true." She looked right at me, and I have to thank my wonderful, incredible husband, Mark. None of this would be possible without you. You've given me a life of luxury, a beautiful home, and now, the most precious gift of all. She paused for effect, letting the lie hang in the air. You are the most generous, loving man I have ever known, and I can't wait to start our family together. The room erupted in awes and applause. That was my cue. As the applause died down, I gave the signal. A subtle nod to my friend, the head waiter. He nodded back. "Before we toast, I said, standing up and taking the second microphone. The room quieted, expecting more sweet nothings from the happy husband. Sarah is right. This is a day for gifts. I have one more special gift for all of you, from the Father. As I spoke, my friends moved with silent, practiced efficiency. They fanned out across the room, placing a single, sealed envelope at every table setting. On the front of each envelope, in elegant script, were the words, "A special gift from the Father." A confused murmur rippled through the guests. Sarah looked at me, a flicker of uncertainty in her eyes for the first time all day. "Mark, what is this?" "Duh," she asked, her voice a nervous whisper into the mic. "Open it," I said, my voice steady and clear, projecting to every corner of the room. People slowly, hesitantly, picked up the envelopes. I watched as paper was torn, as sheets were unfolded, and then I started reading from my own copy. Non-invasive prenatal paternity test results. Alleged father, Mark Reynolds. Child, unborn. I let that sink in. Then I continued, reading the cold, hard science. Based on the analysis of the cell-free fetal DNA, the alleged father, Mark Reynolds, is excluded as the biological father of the fetus. The probability of paternity is 0%. The silence was absolute, was a physical thing, pressing in on all sides, heavier than any sound could ever be. The celebratory cheers from moments ago felt like they had happened in another lifetime. 100 pairs of eyes darted from the paper in their hands, to my face, and then to Sarah's. Her face, which had been glowing with triumph, was now a canvas of pure horror. The color drained from her cheeks, her mouth hung open, a silent scream trapped in her throat, and then I saw it. Across the room, David, her work colleague, the real father, shot up from his chair. He didn't say a word. He just turned and practically ran for the exit, his own wife staring after him in stunned disbelief. Sarah's knees buckled. She stumbled back, dropping the microphone with a loud thud that echoed in the deafening quiet. Her carefully constructed world had just been demolished in front of everyone she wanted to impress. I looked at her one last time, not with hate, but with a strange, liberating emptiness. The charade was over. I put my microphone down on the table, turned my back on the wreckage, and walked towards the exit. As I passed the main table, I paused, picked up the $50,000 bill for the venue, and placed it gently in front of her. It was in her name, after all. She wanted a life of luxury. She could start by paying for it. Walking out of that opulent hall and into the fresh air felt like taking my first breath after drowning. The financial exploitation was over. The emotional manipulation was over. I refused to be a background character, the silent, supportive wallet in the story of her deception. My life was my own again. The legal proceedings were messy, of course. The divorce was swift, but with every signature, I felt lighter. Starting over isn't easy, but starting over with the truth is the most powerful foundation you can have. I found peace not in revenge, but in reclamation. I took my life back. And that's a celebration worth more than all the champagne and roses in the world. Thanks for listening to my story. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more.